answers, or you have to have some quiet self-reflection, then I don't think players know they need that. And I think that is something that's really difficult to do because it does require maybe some uncomfortability. And I'm not talking about sweat equity uncomfortable. I'm talking about like mental uncomfortable. Like I have to look and say, where do I feel insecure? Or what situations could arise that maybe invoke fear in me? And without that self-reflection, you don't know where you need support. You don't know how to take ownership of your journey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's so easy too, Tor, is I feel this on a regular basis, okay? Like, and I'm sure you do too. And you know, commentating to me is, and I talk about it on here a lot, is a way for me to challenge myself because it is something I'm not as comfortable with, right? As coaching, as goalkeeper coaching. And so I'm constantly putting myself in a vulnerable position, and I'm asking myself these things all the time. It's like, ooh, what do I hope doesn't happen? Well, you know what I hope doesn't happen? The play going to VAR, because I know that when it comes to deciphering fouls and like talking and articulating about fouls, it's not my strong suit. And also the rules are constantly changing, and like that's just not my strongest attribute. You'll probably hear me use some similar sentences about similar fouls. Oh, they clipped her heels, or she was draped all over the back of the opponent. Like, it is just not one of my strongest suits because you know, as goalkeepers, we really weren't fouled that much, and it is hard for me in that scenario. But you know what I have done is I know that about myself, and I have come up with different thought outside the box. Okay, like if this is the scenario, how could I describe this in 10 different ways, right? And it's not my strong suit, but I definitely don't feel as uncomfortable as I did before. And I think sometimes we just shy away from the things that we feel uncomfortable about, and we just cross our fingers and hope it doesn't happen, rather than kind of like approaching it and leaning into it and trying to establish like, okay, here's a solution that I could try to use, and here's a way I'm going to try and help myself. And you know what, Tor, is like in that journey to be better at this part of my game and analyst work, is that not only have I figured out some different ways to approach fouls, but I've also found out within me, it's like, oh, wow, I can improve. I can improve in this area. And like, now I also feel more inclined to listen to other analysts and be like, oh, okay, they're good at that. Maybe I can learn something about that too. And it turned on its head from judgment to like encouraging hope and expectation that I can improve in something, and that it doesn't have to be, listening to another analyst doesn't have to be you know, demoralizing for me because I might not be as good. It's just, hey, that's what they're really good at. And like listening to them, I can hear different ways to explain, you know, those foul situations. And it's not an indication of me not being enough. It's more inspiring and encouraging. It's like, wow, I really can grow in this area. And if I grow in this area, what other areas could I grow in? And I think for so long of my playing career, I shied away from the things that were not my strengths and things that I deemed as like my weaknesses and huge insecurities. And because I shied away from it, I never, one, got better at those things, but two, I never moved from a mindset of like, oh, I'm scared to reveal these things, to, oh, I can improve in these things. Like, look at the improvement I've made in these things. And I feel like that limited me and kept me back ultimately as a player. Whereas now as an analyst, I've assessed that in me, and I'm like, okay, well, I don't want to do that again, because I'd rather go for it and, you know, go down swinging rather than just like running away from things that scare me, you know?
Yeah. Which I think is, you kind of brought us right into like my point number 2 of like, you have to, if you want to be a more well-rounded goalkeeper, you have to understand not just like take accountability for your journey, but you have to understand, here's what I'm good at, here's where I'm not as good, and I'm ready to tackle both sides of the game. I don't want to just do what I'm good at all the time, because how am I getting better? So I think part of being a well-rounded goalkeeper is head on going after some of those things that you don't feel as good on. And it doesn't mean you never practice the things that you do feel good on, because you want to stay robust in that area. But you have to challenge yourself to kind of go after maybe protecting the space. You have to challenge yourself to maybe be more preventative if it's not your strong suit. You have to challenge yourself to feel confident and comfortable accepting pressure if that's not something you'd usually do, because the game doesn't allow you to do just what you're good at.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that requires a lot of vulnerability, and people typically see vulnerability as a weakness, whereas vulnerability comes from a place of absolute strength of like, I'm insecure about this. I don't feel comfortable in this, but I'm going to do it anyway. Right. I think viewing vulnerability as a weakness is when we say, this is a vulnerability and I'm going to run like hell away from it so that I don't have to face it. Whereas when we feel something, okay, this is definitely not something I'm great at, I lean into it, I expose myself, I get vulnerable, that is a place of absolute strength. And I think if we reframe that in our head, we could admire within ourselves, wow, I'm actually stronger than I give myself credit for. I'm actually really brave. And like, being a brave to me is a non-negotiable in goalkeeping, because you know what? Every time you step on the field, you don't know what's going to happen. You could be the best player on the field, or you could be the reason why the ball goes in the back of the net, right? And every time you go on the field, it is an act of bravery, and we need it. We need it so that we can unlock our best selves, because we never know the possibilities that could happen. If I come out for this ball, you're never 100% sure you're going to win it. You're like hoping you're going to get there first, right? But there are some risks that we have to take within the game, not knowing what the outcome is going to be. And so when we flex that bravery muscle in our assessments of ourselves and in our training, then we get to utilize it a little bit more in the games as well.
Yeah, bravery is, I think, probably the most underrated thing that, I'm not a parent, but that you could probably teach your children. I think it's the most underrated thing that coaches talk about. Like, coaches will ask so many questions of players, like, well, why didn't you do this? Or you should do this, you could do that. But like, if we try to just encourage them to be brave, make a brave choice. And if it's wrong, okay, you were brave. Right. And you just learn from that. Or maybe it went really, really well because you were brave and you came out and you punched that ball, and that's not something you usually do. And you're like, oh my gosh, I just unlocked this new level of myself. I just don't think that there's anything that can go wrong with bravery, because it's either you learn or you learn through not doing it.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't know. I think it's a huge skill that can go a long way for a lot of people.
Two things that pop up for me when you talk about that is one is that we need to, as coaches, especially with youth players, make it a more forgiving environment, right? So
please
be brave. You make the wrong choice and we get exposed and we get scored on. It's a forgiving environment. This is not the World Cup final, right? This isn't life or death. This is youth sports. And the way you learn is by doing and making decisions. If you want to become a better decision maker, the way you do that is you make more decisions, right? So as parents, as fans, as supporters, as coaches, as goalkeeper coaches, make the environment forgiving. And number two is, no, I forgot number two.
Yeah, sometimes it happens.
It'd be like that today.
Yeah, listen. If the people only knew how long it took us to try to be able to hear one another on this platform, then they would understand. But so on and so forth. If she remembers, we'll come back to it. Maybe we'll do a whole podcast on it for you. Well, let's go on to point 3. So Welcome to the Keeper Institute podcast. My name is Tori Corsaro. I'm a strength and conditioning and goalkeeper coach here at the Keeper Institute and your host for today's show. The Keeper Institute is a unique goalkeeper training facility in New Jersey aimed at developing better goalkeepers and better people. On this podcast, we will be discussing all things goalkeeping, character development, and more. Another episode of the Keeper Institute podcast.
We did it.
That was spicy at the end. I liked it.
We did it.
I always feel anxious with the countdown, the 5, 4, 3, like that it gives us that they can't see. I'm like, vocals ready.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I actually want to start today's podcast off with something a little different. And I just want to congratulate anybody who is listening to this podcast, anybody who is in the goalkeeper community, whether you're a parent, a coach, a player, or you just genuinely care about goalkeeping. I just want to applaud you because it is the hardest position in the sport. It is very difficult. It is under-resourced, undervalued, misunderstood, misinformed. And the fact that you keep showing up to educate yourself, good on you. If you're a goalkeeper, then I have the utmost respect for you, because it is the most difficult position mentally to deal with, making mistakes and being the object of many blame games. So if you are a goalkeeper and you're listening to this, like, good on you. You're amazing and you're mentally strong. So that's all I got.
And we're here with you. We're right here with you.
Yeah, we get it.
Right. It's brilliant.
We are fighting the good fight with you.
We're doing our darn best.
Yes.
Doing our darn best.
And also, congratulations if you made it to the end of your fall season, because right now I'm currently hanging on by a thread, but we're almost there. We are just about over the line.
That's your thread.
Yes.
That's your thread. All right. Well, this is the perfect podcast for you if you are hanging on by a thread. We're going to help you. We're going to build that thread up to nice rope. Okay. We're going to get strong. We're going to use this season as a time to grow. But with growth comes reflection. So we're going to kind of start off that way. Let me just give you our topic. We're going to talk about how you can use your IDP, or even create an IDP, which is an individual development plan, to help you kind of continue on with your training in the off season. So whether you be in high school and you're now going into your club season, or you're in college and you're going into a break and you're going to go into your spring season, your youth and you got a break before the spring rolls around, this is the perfect time for you to kind of sit, reflect, and then plan for what's next. So we're going to start off with Jill talking a little bit about how we can identify and gather data. That way, if you don't receive an IDP, you can create your own. Or if you do receive one, you can still create your own and kind of have that autonomy over your journey.
Yeah, I think in order to make a plan, we have to know what we need to work on. And I think there is two sides to becoming the best goalkeeper and person you can be. And that's awareness about the game and awareness about yourself. And I believe that it's important at the end of every season to reflect and to gather as much information as possible, because you're going to be on this journey that you want to be steering in the right direction, right? Like, sometimes when I don't know where I'm going, I put my GPS on Waze so that it can guide me to my final destination. If I don't know where my final destination is, like, who knows if I'll actually get to, the place that I ultimately would like to go. So it's important for us to have a roadmap of what it is that we actually want to do in the off season, where we want to improve, and how we're going to retain some of our strengths, right? So the first one is painfully obvious, but I think we need to ask for feedback. So, but I'm not talking just about your head coaches. I'm talking about, let's ask our head coaches, let's ask our goalkeeper coaches, let's ask my parents, let's ask my center backs, let's ask our strength coach, hey, where can I be better? Where can I get fitter? Where can I get stronger? Hey, mom and dad, or whoever brings you your games, like, what was my body language saying after I made mistakes, after I let up a goal? Hey, center backs, do you feel comfortable to pass the ball back to me in possession? Attackers, how does it feel to shoot against me? Tell me where I'm vulnerable. Just get like a wide variety of some different feedbacks and tally it, like compile a list of things what people have to say about you, great things they have to say about you, things that they have that are feedback and some criticism, all the things, and have a really clear picture of some of the areas that you feel like are your strengths and some of the areas that you feel like you need to work on. And I think it's so important. A book I'm reading right now is called Range, and it's about not just being specific, like such a specialist. So not just asking your goalkeeper coach about where you can improve, but being more of a generalist. So how can I ask different parts of the people that are in my sphere that can help me? Whether that's your high school coach, that might give you some valuable insight, even if they don't necessarily know the game that well. They might be able to give you insight about your social game or your mental game or your physical game that you might not have other thought of in your club environment. So just being a generalist and gathering as much data or as many opinions as possible. I think that's going to be really important.
Love that.
Now I feel like I'm even talking to myself, like I need to be able to do this. And I think what probably stops us from doing this is the fear. Because immediately when I'm speaking, I'm like thinking about my own self, like, maybe I should ask some other people about some, feedback for myself. And then I was thinking, oh, I don't know. That seems a little scary. Like going out of my way to ask my bosses for feedback on my game, because maybe I'm not prepared to deal with what they have to say, or maybe it's a little bit scary to put myself out there and be vulnerable and expose myself to maybe some criticism, So I think even just taking that step, even if they don't give you valuable information, just taking that step would be one that's really rooted in a lot of bravery and a lot of courage.
Yeah, I don't think that it's something most people want to do. Like they maybe want feedback or they think they want feedback, but I think it's also important to check back with yourself and be like, okay, when I ask for feedback, it might not always be what I want to hear, and kind of preparing yourself for that and knowing that you're strong enough to take that in. Because we'll talk a little bit later, it's not always like written in stone, right? Like some of that feedback you get, you might not feel applies to you or you might disagree with, and that's okay.
Yeah, 100%. Which brings me to the next one is watch film, because you have the opportunity to watch back, and check for, double check if your parents were like, hey, your body language after that goal you gave up was not great. And you were like, no, I never thought that. I didn't see that. Go back, watch the film, see if it checks out. And you can be either affirmed in what you believe, or you can be challenged in what your parents, maybe that feedback they gave you. And you can take that to so many different levels, right? Did you look comfortable in possession? Do your center backs feel comfortable to give you the ball? Did you look comfortable in your vertical positioning? The film doesn't lie. So it's a great receipt.
Right.
It's a great way for you to double check some of that feedback that you're getting. And sometimes it's easier to see things when we're not seeing it through our eyeballs, but we're seeing it from like a higher perspective. And you're like, wow, I actually didn't recognize there was a moment for me to scan, and I could have played a higher value pass there. So, yeah, just watching film as much as possible. And also, if you are able to clip that film and put it together, then you can keep that as like okay, here's a reminder of the things I'm really great at, and like create a highlight tape for yourself. Or, hey, here's some things I need to improve on. And then you can refer back to that film at some point, maybe a year later from now, when you feel like I've really made a lot of strides in that. And it can also provide you a lot of sense of confidence. And especially when things get hard, you can reflect back on that and be like, wow, I really did put all the work in and I really did improve in this. Right now, it might not feel like that because I conceded a goal, whatever it is that you were working on, but I really have grown a lot in that space.
Yeah, I love film. I think it's hard because you don't always have access to it depending on what level you play at or how old you are, but everyone's got a smartphone now. So even if it means asking mom or dad or whoever brings you to soccer to whip out their phone and record a couple, or whether it be you set up your iPad or your phone at training, it's like something that is a way you can find a way to make it work at some point or another. And it doesn't have to be anything super fancy. It doesn't have to be Huddle or VO or anything like that. You could figure out a way. And I think it's ball don't lie. Ball don't lie. And it's going to give you some good insight into different things that maybe you just didn't recognize at the time.
Yeah. My last one, and how to best collect this information, is to just check in with yourself and kind of do an audit of yourself of like, where did I feel super confident this year? And where did I feel like, man, I really hope that situation doesn't happen. I really hope that situation doesn't happen again. What are you nervous about? What are you fearful of? Which situations? I'm really fearful if a situation pops up where I have to spread to my left or smother to my right, or I'm not that comfortable with low diving. Great, put it on your list. And it doesn't matter if other people think that's your strength. If you don't feel comfortable with it, you might need more attention. You might need more support. You might need more opportunities to try. So just putting it on your list so that you can be more intentional about it was going to be super helpful in the end.
Yeah, absolutely. And that kind of leads me into this next piece. So we just talked about what you can do to create an IDP or kind of overview your IDP if you're given one, and how you kind of gather and collect that data and form it into meaningful what's next. Now we're going to talk about the what's next. What can I do once I have this data gathered and I'm ready to formulate my off-season plan or my next phase of training? So last part of that kind of goes with the first part of this, reflection. Number one is we have to reflect on what we've been given. We have to take in that data. We have to do that self-audit. Okay, what am I feeling? What is my coach seeing? What is the film saying? And we kind of look at all of those as one whole piece. and we give ourselves some time to digest it. Okay. Is there any trends? Did I get scored on off, crosses 5 times in the season and they all come from the left-hand side? All right. Maybe there's some data there, or maybe there isn't. But if you don't reflect, you won't know. How did I feel at training? Was I more tired at trainings when we trained at night versus the morning? Okay, maybe I need to adjust my routine a little. So it's kind of taking this reflection, not just of your individual performances each game, but as your season as a whole, and kind of trying to understand and interpret what that looks like for you, as well as like, what did you feel? Your feelings are also important in this. If you felt like you had a phenomenal season, don't take that away from yourself. You just want to make sure and see what it was that led to that. If you feel like you had a terrible season, maybe what you need to do is look back and realize that it probably wasn't as bad as you're making it out to be. And there were some good things to find as well. So it's making sure that you're not just highlighting where you need to be better, but you're also highlighting what felt good. What do other people like see from you? What did the film say about you? Maybe what do your stats say about you if you have access to that as well?
Yeah. I think for me, like just segueing off of that is discernment, because not everything everybody says to you is always correct or right for you. And maybe it's right for somebody else, but maybe it's just not right for you, right? Maybe you have a coach that tells you that you have to catch everything, and like maybe that's just not for you, and it's not for me either. So like, catch
Not
what
for
you
anybody.
yeah, catch what you can, but like at the end of the day, just be effective and consistent. But yes, you have to be able to discern. And the way I think you have that ability to discern is education and awareness. And so asking as many people's opinions as possible. So like, hey, Jill, where should my vertical positioning be on this specific play? Typically, I would say, well, it depends, and that you shouldn't necessarily be having to do anything, but let's explore, let's talk it out. Let's talk about the advantages and what are the disadvantages, because every single decision has to be in your favor. There has to be an advantage attached to why you made that decision. And if there's not, let's kind of reflect and unpack that. So I think it's being able to be curious about what happened and not judgmental, and then being able to discern what's appropriate for you and your skill set.
Brilliant. Which kind of leads us to the next one, is collaboration. If I'm talking about what's next in my training and how am I going to prepare or, decide what do I need to work on, I have to collaborate. Like, this is a collaborative effort. I have to know, okay, here's how my team likes to play. And I had a really hard time protecting the space. I need to collaborate with my coach. Okay, you're looking for me to do what? Blank, blank, blank. Okay, I'm going to go to my goalkeeper coach, Jill, who I work with in the offseason. I'm going to say, Jill, my team likes me to play a higher line. I didn't do a great job protecting the space. I didn't feel confident because XYZ. How can we work on that this offseason? Or what do you recommend I start with? And I don't just leave it there. I don't just put this data in Jill's hands, my coach, and ask her to solve the problem, quote unquote, solve the situation. I want to say, okay, I feel like I'm not confident because I'm nervous about getting beat over my head. And then you might have some feedback. And then I say, okay, can we work on longer range 1v1s in a way for me to have to kind of protect that space, or in a way for me to have to be aware of when I need to backset versus when I need to come? So it's not just giving that data to someone and asking them to come up with the solution, but rather having the conversation and collaborating with the people that I work with. If my issue I'm experiencing is I'm not feeling super explosive, maybe I go to Coach Leah and I say, Coach Leah, I really want to work on my explosiveness. I want to be able to jump a little higher, or I want to be able to get off the floor a little bit faster with my push. I would love to come in 2 days a week and get stronger in my upper body and, work on plyos. It's bringing things. You still let the professionals, kind of decipher what that looks like, but it's bringing things and having a collaborative effort to build what's next.
Yeah. I think nobody got to the top by themselves, and you need an inner circle. You need a bunch of people that you can trust, that you can lean on, and who you value their opinion. And also, in asking everyone's opinion, you start to value yourself more, and you start to value who you are. And so when those hard circumstances come along, you know who you are, and you know who you can lean on, and you know whose opinion about you actually matters. So develop your inner circle.
Yep. And because you want it to be people that you trust. You don't want to just be throwing your development in the hands of anyone who gives you feedback. Ask for feedback from a lot of people, right? But you have to have that discernment, like you talked about, to decide what is next, what's important, where do I go from here? So having that inner circle, I think, is the best way to create collaboration, which leads me to number 3. We prepare for the future. So I want to track my success. I don't want to just play guessing games. A couple ways that you can do that is performance goals. I know we've talked about it on podcasts in the past, where kind of setting these performance goals for each training session, and they don't have to be huge. It could be, I want to be brave today, or I want to ask 3 questions today. It could be as big or as small as you want, but you want to be able to, after that 60, 90-minute session, to look back and say, you know what? I feel pretty good about this. Or, I didn't give enough focus to this, so I'm going to be more intentional when I'm in on Tuesday. And having those performance goals can be really helpful, not just tracking progress throughout a session, but to look back on 2 weeks from then, or when my next season starts, and kind of see, where was I at step 1 versus here's where I am at step 32.
Yeah. I think that probably our feelings, just like taking 5 minutes to check in with ourselves before or after training, before or after a game, of like, I feel tired, I feel amped up, I feel anxious, I feel, butterflies, whatever it is. Like, I just think that we're really forgetful people. Like, it's why we have developed statues in the world, so we don't forget people, right? Like, we don't forget Rocky Balboa and how he ran through the streets of Philadelphia and what he's done for the city, right? And people travel thousands of miles to take pictures with that statue, so they, like, whatever, it's meaningful. But we're forgetful people. We write down how you're feeling, write down what's going on with your life, or how you felt about that training, and you can reflect back on that. So it's just so important to be able to reflect back on that, of like, wow, I was feeling anxious and I still performed well, or I was feeling stressed about the pressure of, like, my college decision and I still performed well, or I was feeling good and I played poorly, and I'm going to reflect back on, like, what happened there? Like, why was it really hard for me to stay in the present moment and ruthlessly pursue my performance goals, rather than, like, what ifing myself into, my own demise? So I just think that being able to write things down, track it helps us remember who we are, where we've came from, what our vision is, what our target is. Especially, like, you guys, I think that one of the most important things that I have talked about in the past is, like, not preparing for the storm when you're in the storm, but preparing for the storm way before you get to that storm, because that storm is coming. We're in hurricane season right now. Florida knows they're going to get hit by hurricanes. The worst time to prepare is once it's already hit and you're in the middle of it, and your windows aren't boarded. You don't have canned goods. You don't have water. It's the worst time to prepare. If you know it's coming, put the water in. Like, whatever, I don't know, I'm not a hurricane person, but, like, board your windows or whatever, right? So yeah, like, don't be surprised when you make a mistake. Don't be surprised when you fail. Don't be surprised when you get cut. Don't be surprised when someone has negative feedback for you. You're in a constant evolution and adaptation to become the best person and goalkeeper that you can be. Prepare for those moments by setting yourself up for success, to be able to get through those storms, like, be able to anchor down, put your feet where they are, and, like, grin and bear it, and survive that, like, really difficult obstacle, And I think, like, journaling and prepping for that is going to be one of the most important things, so that when it comes, you're not like, I want to quit soccer because it's not fun. Oh, I knew this was coming and I'm ready for it, and I know who I am, and I know I'm resilient, and I know I'm full of grit, and I'm gonna get through this.
Darn tootin'. I love that. And I want to give you a little story of something lately that I've experienced at TKI. Actually, is I work with this goalkeeper, and I work with him probably most weeks at least twice a week, sometimes 3. And I think that can get exhausting for him. Like, it's not only just a demanding schedule, but also we work on hard things because he likes to be challenged. And for the last 3 weeks, we've been talking about performance goals and, like, how you can kind of track your progress and use it to help you along the way. And I gave him a notebook. I asked him to do it. He said he's been doing it before his games, and he seems to really like it. And some sessions he comes in, we talk about it. Some sessions he comes in, and we don't talk about it. But it's an unspoken thing that he knows that if it's there, he can, if he wants to, he can do it. And the other day, couple reps in, and he's struggling, like giving up goals and like kind of like half hitting passes in a way that he just doesn't really do often. So, I pull him aside. I'm like, hey, what's up? I'm exhausted today. My ankles feel like they weigh pounds. Exact words, verbatim. And I was like, all right, what's going on at school? We've had state testing. Okay, there's your data right there. That's data for that session. You're exhausted. You're tired. You're mentally fatigued as well.
Yeah.
Today's about resilience. It's not about what you can do in goal. It's about how you can get yourself to push through it. And I think without performance goals or progress goals like that in sessions, you might look at that session and be like, oh, I had a bad, terrible day. I didn't feel good. But instead, it's like, all right, I was honest with myself. I know how I felt. I know what I'm usually like. Today is not going to be about tech. Today's going to be all about up in here, my brain, and how I can get myself to kind of push through maybe a less than comfortable or ideal day. And I think because we have that conversation, it helps that session be something that you can look back on and feel good about rather than look at and just feel like, oh my gosh, I was terrible that day. Instead, it was like, you know what, I'm really strong because I was resilient.
Yeah. And that kind of goes back to just having awareness of the game and awareness of yourself. Because if you have awareness of like, I'm not a bad goalkeeper, I'm just having a tough day, that can help you just understand more about like giving your body and your mind what it needs to be able to succeed. So yeah,
absolutely.
I think that this is I think as players get older and they continue to, rise in the, get to better levels and better teams and get to the college level and transition to the higher level, soccer becomes more and more and more filled with pressure. And I'm sure this has probably been one of the hardest seasons of your career because you're getting older, and the older you get, the more pressure there is. But hopefully you guys use that as a tool to fuel your off season and help you prepare for an even better spring season, an even better season next year, whether, you're playing at the college level now or, youth level. But we hope this was helpful information. If there's ever anything that you guys have questions about, if you want to ask for feedback, like one of our topics was, please reach out. We want to help you, want to support you, whether you live in New Jersey, Pennsylvania, California, or somewhere in between. We want to help you guys. That's what we're here for. So please reach out. You can reach out to me at jloyden@thekeeperinstitute.com. You can reach out to Tori. You can reach out on Instagram. Any single way. You can send us a smoke signal. We'll respond because you guys are really important to us and we really want to help you. So if you live on the East Coast, check out one of our fall and winter camps. If you live on the West Coast, check out our San Diego camp that we have the save the date out for. And if you live on the earth, you can always join TKI University, which is our remote class that meets 3 times per month. It's groups for advanced goalkeepers who want to take their game to the next level. So we're going to wrap this one up. Anything else, Tori? Do you have a question?
I do have a question. But I want to leave people with this too. If you're going to join TKI University, I'm telling you, you're not going to be disappointed. Coach Cam's got the West Coast. I got the East Coast. Maybe one day, somewhere along the line, they'll let us do a collab. It'll be insane. It'll be insane. But we hope to have you. And if it's something you're interested in, you have more questions, please feel free to reach out because we're super pumped to get that started. But without further ado, here's my question. Keeping it simple. But I want to know, who's someone that like you're just feeling really grateful for right now? Like in your heart, you're like, oh, I have so much gratitude towards you. Give them a shout out.
Well, Levi and I have been doing this thing every night where we tell each other what we're grateful for before we go to bed, just to like kind of recap the day, just to put some emphasis on something positive before he goes to bed. And every night I feel like I've been saying grateful for my time with my family together. So I'm going to have to go with the whole Loyden group because we've been having a great time. We went to ice skating last night. That was super fun. Hudson stayed home from school yesterday. We got to cook with him and like bake, and that was fun. I'm just going to say, my season's winding down. So I'm like really looking forward to being home more and spending more time with my friends, my family. So yeah, I'm just going to go with that. It's a boring answer, but it's what I feel in my heart.
It's good. It's the Loyden crew. You really can't beat it, honestly.
Yeah, you're right.
Can't beat it.
Go ahead.
Mine's also boring. Mr. AJ. Mr. AJ is a godsend, especially while I'm in season. He does a lot of the heavy lifting around this household, and a lot of times then bakes me cookies at night. So you can't beat it. You can't beat it. Pick the good one.
Can't beat an in-home baked goods specialist. I do have a really quick off-the-cuff question, though. Is who do you think is going to win the NWSL championship?
I feel stuck on that. I do think it's going to be Kansas City, though.
Yeah. I'm just the kind of person that just goes against what everybody says.
I knew you were gonna do that.
I'm gonna go with the really, really dark horse, and this is the caveat: is if everyone is healthy, they could make a run. Is I'm gonna say Gotham, but if everybody's healthy. But that's like a major caveat. If Astaire is injured, there's no chance. But if she is healthy, I think that they could make a run at it, depending on how everything shakes out this weekend.
You got me with that. That's not who I thought you were going to say.
Yeah, I just think
I wasn't sure who you were going to say.
Obviously, the odds are in Kansas City's favor, like whether Schwinga plays or she doesn't play. I think they have like a 1 in 2 chance to win, which is crazy. But I'm just going to go against something else, something different.
Just be yourself, man. You got to root for the underdogs. That's how I feel. We love the underdogs.
Yeah. All right. Well, you guys, thanks for sticking with us. We will catch you later.
Catch you later.